All right. Hey, we are here talking to Joe Bliss again. Joe Bliss was luckily to be on our podcast, our audio podcast, a few months ago, but now we have him actually on the video. So, what's up, Joe Bliss?
What's going on, Todd?
Good to see you again. So, as
As
always,
always.
for all of our listeners, thank you again. This is our 18th episode of the EFFL official podcast, which can be seen on YouTube now and heard on all of the major podcast channels out there. And you can see them below on TikTok, and we're on Spotify, everything. So, as always, our website is extremeffl.com. You can see it right there in the corner. And our sponsors are 123go.io and Tabby Entertainment. So again, I want to thank Joe Bliss for being on the camera. And we're going to talk about some of Joe's experiences with fantasy football, not just the EFFL, but some of the things he's done in the past, both good and bad. Also, a little bit of some of the NFL chat coming out there right now as training camps are beginning to start. And then we are looking forward to having our registrations open this week. So that's going to be awesome. Go ahead and get ready to register into the EFFL on extremeffl.com. We'll be back in one quick second, so hang tight. So, Joe, man, you've been
What's going
playing,
on?
like myself, you've been playing fantasy football for a real long time, right?
Yes, real long time.
Real. I won't age you. So
Real long
I,
time.
I'm not going to ask you how old you are, so I won't get into that kind of thing because I know I'm older than you. So just give me some history of some of the kind of formats that you've played, and whether it's PPR, Dynasty, Keeper, whatever it may be, or you're still playing now. And so,
Never got,
yeah,
never really got into the full team dynasty. The league that I run, it's a keeper league. You can keep one player, and you lose that draft spot, and then that draft spot will go up each year you keep that player.
okay,
But back when it started, it was just the same old format. I think it was two running backs, two receivers, one quarterback. I think it was team defense at that time.
okay,
I run a individual defense. I think it better scoring. I think it's more exciting to do an IDP. But
right,
finally did away with the kicker in the league that I run. I know some leagues that I'm in still run a kicker. But as far as scoring format, it's been just I've seen leagues where it's only touchdown leagues. That I've seen where scoring is escalated, where you get a point, just for everything basically.
right, right.
So it's basic how high you want the score to go. You can tweak the scoring many different ways.
So, have you done any full PPR, half PPR leagues at all?
Oh yeah, I think all the leagues I'm in right now are a full PPR league.
Okay,
I've never done a half PPR league. It's always been nothing or full PPR
okay.
itself.
But lost your audio there, Joe.
You there? You got me?
Oh, now I got you. Okay, all right.
All right.
The last sentence you said we just didn't hear.
I've never played a half PPR league. It's either been nothing or full PPR.
Okay, all right. So you have this league now, and actually I'm on it also. So thank you for getting me into it. And you're one person keeper. Has it always been one person, or have you gone one? I think you said you didn't do a full team dynasty. And I know dynasties can be kind of ridiculous. The number of keepers you have, hence the name dynasty. So why do you have only a one person as opposed to even a more or even a zero keeper league?
I think it's to keep the excitement year after year. So your team is not monotonous, not the same old, same old. You have players that retire, so I think I like the one player because if you have that one star or you have your favorite player on there, or if you're a homer like Todd Bailey and you have that line that you don't want to give up, I think that's cool. And if you're willing to lose that draft spot year after year and it goes up year after year, that's totally up to you, you know.
Right. Right. Yes, I am. I do have the ability or the option right now to keeping Bijan Robinson or Jameer Gibbs, and I got to pick one, so I got to go Gibbs.
Oh, for sure. I think you got Bijan in the second round
I
or
think
first
yes, I
round.
did.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think second round. Yeah.
yeah,
So
yeah.
I'll take Gibbs. I'll be happy with Gibbs. So you've been successful more so than I, at least in the past few years, because I think I've changed my. I have rules that have been documented, I think, pretty well through our podcast here. So, give me some of your highlights, historical highlights of, I mean, leagues you've won, things you've done, some trades you've done, something that really stuck out as being, hey,
Uh,
this made me win.
I think my best year was last year. I was in let's see, one, two, three, 7 leagues, and I
Wow,
trophied and moneyed in 6.
wow.
So that was definitely my best year. I'm of the person that continually looks to improve my team, and so I'm always looking at the waiver wire, always looking to make trades. And sometimes you get certain people in leagues and they don't want to like move off their team, and they could be like 1 or 2 win team, and they still
Hmm.
don't want to budge off their players. And I'm always looking to get better week after week.
So you're in 7 leagues last year, and I won't get into, we're not IRS, so we won't get into the money you've made, but you've trophied or cashed in 6 of them. So that's pretty awesome. So I know you have some tips. I'm not asking you to spill your guts, and because a lot of us, like myself, competing against you in these couple of these leagues. So is there a source that you kind of look to? I think it mentioned on the audio podcast a few months ago that sometimes look at the Las Vegas odds and you kind of use that. And it's something that I never really got into. 'Cause I don't really get into sports betting. And I know you have your knowledge in that, so it might come more natural to you. But so how do you use the Vegas odds as a player or a team to pick up?
Are we talking extreme or are we talking just
Um,
normal platform?
let's go normal platform first.
Normal platform, I really don't use the Vegas odds because my team is locked in.
Okay.
So I know who's going to play week in and week out. I look at, I think come the end of July, 1st of August is when I spend a lot of time listening to fantasy football on Sirius XM and
Okay.
all those shows. I mean, I'm in the car, a little over 2 hours a day
Right.
coming from and to work. So I listen to as much as I possibly can. And then if I'm at the house, I'm probably reading on something. My wife and I don't turn the TV on during the week.
Okay.
So, the TV don't turn on until Friday night. So I'm always reading something about fantasy football when it comes to that time, which is about to start up now.
Right.
So I just when I'm on my lunch hour, I'm always reading, I'm always listening. I talk to people at work and see their thoughts and that on certain players. But a lot has changed over the years to, you really don't have that one running back on every team anymore. I mean, I think you only got maybe 3 or 4 bell cows in the NFL total.
Right.
So I don't see the running back going as fast anymore in drafts as more as it's trying to build your receiver core. Or if you're in a 2 QB league, I mean, that's usually when you see your quarterbacks fly off is if you're in that 2 QB league in the first 3 or 4 rounds. So I think last year I didn't draft a running back till like round 5 or 6.
Okay.
And I think I'm probably looking at that. Looking at they've already did draft order in a couple of my leagues right now, and I think I'm 7-1 and 9 in another one. So I'll probably be looking at receiver
Yep.
at that spot. Um, we'll see how it goes. I do some mock drafts and that. Um, my brother's pretty involved in it, so I bounce things off of him and his thoughts on what he thinks. You know, I'm just always reading or talking about it.
So you mentioned your brother and Chris. I'm fortunate to know Chris, and he's been part of the EFFL also for quite a while. So it's always a nice shout out to your brother there. Okay, so you mentioned before that you don't use the Vegas odds so much on your standard format, but tell me how you use the Vegas odds on the EFFL leagues that you've had.
The Vegas odds on EFFL. I mean, obviously, if you're not familiar with the EFFL, your lineups change weekly, so you're not locked into a drafted player. There is no draft or whatnot. So I look at how Vegas sees what running backs, what receivers, what quarterbacks are going to do as far as their individual stats for that game, the over under on their yardage and all that. So I look at Vegas odds probably. They usually come out Wednesday, and they tweak them up until Friday, and I'll study that and look at it Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Saturday night is when I write my EFFL lineup on paper, and I'll submit it Saturday night or early Sunday morning. But I always write out my lineups. I got notebooks. I usually carry like 4 or 5 teams in that league. So I got a notebook for each team, and I'm always writing my lineups on Saturday and tweaking them prior to locking them in. Looking at injuries in the practice on Friday or Saturday, and then I go back to the Vegas odds and see what they're doing on their numbers if they went up or went down. Always looking at matchups as far as what running back is going against the weaker defense, what
Right.
quarterback is going against a tough defense. So like I said, I'm always looking at those.
So you commented that you have 4 or 5 notebooks, one for every team that you have, and I think you had 5 EFFL teams last year. So uh, we're trying to tout that this is easier league to manage from a manager perspective than a on the waiver wire and putting in the waiver bids and maybe getting your waiver, maybe not getting your waiver pick. So do you find yourself spending more time on traditional or more time on the EFFL as far as picks?
Um, Traditional,
Okay.
because I'm looking at waiver wire. So after the Monday night game, so Tuesday morning, I'm looking at waiver wire. Waivers will open up Wednesday in all of my leagues that are in that format. And then I start looking at players that didn't get looked at as far as waiver pickups. And then after waivers go through, I start looking at other teams and seeing if there's a player on there that I should be trading for, possibly putting offers out. Um, and then when the actual bye weeks start, I look at what players were dropped for their bye week, and I'll actually pick those up and just put them on my bench because I may need them in 2 or 3 weeks. So I'm always looking at my matchups 2 or 3 weeks down the road
Okay.
as far as what players are out there on the waiver wire. And I do the same thing with the EFFL league. Is should I hold that player for week 6 to use instead of week 4? So I'm kind of looking at their matchups ahead of time also. So I kind of have a feel for when I want to use them and not use them. But as far as time wise itself, I mean, it's all what you want to get out of your leagues that you're playing in. I mean, if you're just playing for fun and there's no dollars in it, yeah, I mean, you could spend very little time in all of the leagues. But if you're looking for that trophy, you're looking to cash out. I think you're always wanting to study matchups. Always,
And that's probably why you were 6 out of 7 for last year.
possibly.
All right. So let's go on to the Extreme Exchange, which is a relatively new thing. Well, it's our first year having it on the official league. We did do a test a couple of years ago, and we've covered it a lot on this website, so on this podcast. So everybody knows we have 1,000 hours portfolio. You can buy who you want, you can sell who you want. So those kind of things are really cool. What was your take on the Extreme Exchange when you just tasted it a little bit a couple of years ago?
My take is I think it's exciting. Again, that could be a non-time league to play. You could buy in week one you could just ride that team the whole year and not change. I think it's going to open up to other people that really don't know sports that well, but may know stocks. They can buy in. I mean, that's something my wife is actually possibly looking at playing because she likes to play around with the stocks, and she's more into that than picking players and teams.
Okay. One thing that we've been talking about the past couple of weeks is the current ADP that you see from the mock drafts and the best balls that are out there already, and how that translates into or compares probably better to the Extreme Exchange prices. So one of the players that I really like is Zamir White. He's come into a situation in Las Vegas where he is the running back, and I don't have his price exactly on my hand right here, but it's like $25 or in that area for a RB1 in Las Vegas. And he was behind Josh Jacobs last year. Now he's the man. So Zamir White may not have been picked on very many traditional leagues, or maybe even not many EFFL leagues, but I got a feeling he's going to be a very popular pick on the Extreme Exchange. So we're looking at that. So the ADP is our last episode we had here was regarding the ADPs versus Exchange. And I think you're going to find some players who may not be as popular or may not be the superstar out there, but I think the value is going to be exciting. So, by the way, our prices for all of our Exchange players are on the extremeFFL.com website, and they are locked in for the remaining part of the preseason, and they will only change on a weekly basis after they've actually played. So you can go to extremeFFL.com, and on the top side, you'll see the Extreme Exchange, and you can go down and see the players. So it is pretty cool. Looking forward to seeing how this works out. And there's some developmental challenges that we're working out, but we're almost done, and we have a month and a half or so before the season starts. So it's getting pretty exciting. So I want to kind of move over to a little bit about the current NFL. We got training camps that are going to start pretty soon. I think start this weekend. And that's when the news starts happening. That's when you start seeing depth charts changes and rookies and how they're performing, and veterans and signees and all that. We had a discussion last week on some defenders that were unsigned. And I was kind of shocked at the names of Jamal Adams, Justin Simmons, Stephon Gilmore, Xavier Howard, and Shaquille Leonard. As of last week, they were not signed, but Jamal Adams got signed by Tennessee. So I'm going to put you on the spot here, Joe. You got Justin Simmons, Stephon Gilmore, Xavier Howard, and Shaquille Leonard. Which one of those four? I know there's different teams out there and different needs and whatnot. So, but which one of those four players you feel is going to be picked up next or signed next? And will that be before the season starts, or is it going to be after season starts?
That can go twofold depending on what happened in training camps with injuries and whatnot. I think the only one that really surprises me that's not signed would be Justin Simmons.
Yeah, me too.
I think all of those players have something in common. You're looking at age, and you're looking at injury prone. Shaquille Leonard, probably 4 or 5 years ago, was probably the best linebacker in the league. Got hurt a couple different times with back and neck issues, and he's not moving as well as he once did. Not saying he's a good player at all. He is, but he's not what he once was. And that's all of these players. Most of the players we're talking about are secondary players. We may have lost a step or two over the years. So I think probably the one that gets signed first will probably be Simmons.
Okay. All right. All right. So with that being said, also let's move on to some of the teams that are in the NFL. And I'm going to put you on the spot again because that's how I do with my good friends. Put you on the spot. Can you give me the top 3 offensive teams league wide?
Top 3 offensive teams.
Yep.
Kansas City, Philadelphia, and Miami.
Okay. All right. And how about your top 3 defensive teams?
Baltimore, San Francisco, and the third one could go many different ways. I'm gonna go Philadelphia.
Okay. All right. And I'm assuming that of those teams are the ones who will be in the Super Bowl. Who are you calling right now, calling the shot for the Super Bowl this year?
I'll go Kansas City. And
you're riding the Mahomes train.
I'm not a huge fan of Mahomes. I'm not. Right. I'm a huge fan of what they do. That team is coached well. It's
that's true.
When they lost week 1 against the Lions last week, everybody was doubting them. They're out. They're not going. And they just continued to grind throughout the year and find ways to win. And that's what it takes to get to the Super Bowl.
Right.
Whether you're playing real football or you're playing fantasy football, it's how much do you grind through the year to make your team better, And that's exactly what they did. So, until Buffalo or Baltimore can knock them out, I'm going to have to say Kansas City coming out of the AFC. The NFC, I know who you're saying out of the NFC. I already know. I don't need to ask you.
Actually, I'm not going to Detroit. I don't think it's going to be.
You're not going to go Detroit?
No. I mean, my heart pick is, but if I had put money on it, I would. I'm going to say the 49ers.
Yeah, I was going to go 49ers again. But I don't know if McCaffrey will be healthy all year.
Right.
He's a monster part of their offense. And are we going to get the same Brock Purdy that we've had? I don't know. I'm going to go San Francisco until someone can knock them out.
Okay. So you're saying the Chiefs and the Niners again?
Chiefs, Niners, possibly Eagles, maybe. Possibly.
Do you see any kind of Houston Texans? Are they a year away like the Lions? I think the Lions are next year, 2026 season. Personally,
the Houston Texans are a very scary team. They came out of nowhere last year. I love their head coach. I love the style he has.
Right.
He's a stand-up guy. But is CJ Stroud for real? I think there's a lot of video on Stroud now. I think some defenses now have had a year to look at the type of player he is. They can scheme to that secondary. I mean, leaving those receivers wide open as they did last year, such as Tank Dell, I think we've had a year to study them. Not saying they're not good at all because they are. I want to see if there's going to be a sophomore slump. And that team is full of rookies.
They are.
That team is full of second-year players now. Not rookies, but second-year players. So I'm excited to see what they can do. I like to see Nico Collins succeed. But it all is in the quarterback's hands. And, well, you know how I feel about Ohio State.
I know, and you're wearing red because of your work, but
yes. It's Thursday, it's Red Day, or it's Tuesday, it's Red Day.
It'd be easy for me to sit here. I am a homer. I admit that to say that the Lions going to go to the Super Bowl, and definitely my heart pick would do that. I might toss a few dollars on that future bet. But I think if I really, really, really had to make a decision and with a lot more at stake, the Niners would be the one who I pick. Although I'm still concerned about what's going on with Brandon Ayuk and McCaffrey. You mentioned him. I think he's 30 years old this year, and that's that secret number, that
Yeah,
30 number.
he's 30. He got a new contract. Ayuk, I'm not worried about. They just came out. I just read an article last week where he came back and said he wants to be in San Francisco. Again, it's health wise. I mean, you're looking at Debo that can't stay healthy. Their defense, I mean, they hit so hard that they're always losing players.
Right.
But it's the Shanahan tree, man. That guy knows how to coach.
He does. I give him props for that. That definitely true. And John Lynch is a hell of a GM. So
Yeah,
they do
for sure.
things they do things well out there. And I think because Brock Purdy has a low contract still, allows
He's
him
in his
some.
final year. Yeah, he's in
Yeah,
his final year. I think $800,000 is his contract for the year.
yeah,
I think if he succeeds this year, I think he's going to be a $50 million for sure next year.
yeah.
They did draft I can't think of his name. They did draft a wide receiver.
Uh,
Um,
from Florida.
supposed to be fast. Supposed to be
Yeah,
fast. So that just spreads that offense even more.
yeah,
But like you said, we have camps open up this week and next week. We'll see what happens with the injury bug and some contract statuses. But I think them Steelers are sneaky this year, so do not overlook the Steelers.
really. Okay. You think it's going to
Yes.
be end of the year? Wilson QB or Justin Fields QB?
I think it's going to be Justin Fields at QB, but I think that receiving core is going to be much better. And that defense is just stout. So
Yeah, always is. You got TJ Watt anchoring that.
for sure,
That always helps. So.
yeah,
Uh,
for sure.
Well, before I let you go, I want to talk about the Detroit Lions a little bit. I know it's not on our show notes, but give me some of your. It's easy to say the Lions are going to do this, Lions are going to do that, but give me a bold take, something a little bit out there that
A
you,
bold take on the Lions.
yeah, that you really expect this year. If everything goes right, this will happen.
Back-to-back division champions.
Okay,
When's the last time we saw that? I don't think we have ever saw that in our lifetime.
we have never have. We have
No,
never have.
So I'm gonna go back-to-back division champions.
Okay,
I think they make it. They make it to the conference final. I think they come up short. I think they come up
like
short.
like last year.
Yeah,
Yeah,
unfortunately.
yeah.
Yeah, I think they come up short. I don't think they can hold home team advantage. If you get home team, I think they have a better chance of winning.
Oh, it's huge.
But yeah, but I think we'll be going back out to San Francisco, and our
Yeah.
fans travel well. But I just think I think we come up short again.
Well, maybe you and I should go there if they go next time. We should.
We made some travels around this world watching teams before, so I'm
We
in.
have. We have. Let's work on that a little bit. So, all right. Hey, as always, we have the sponsoring abilities. We do have some leagues coming out there, and we have some sponsor abilities. If you, not if you, Joe, but anybody wants to become a sponsor for the Extreme FFL, we have $250 is all it costs for a 20-week season. So $12.50 per week. You have your website, your logo, you're tagged on our social media. So shout out to those companies. The sponsors right now are 123go.io and Tabby Entertainment. So we do have opportunities to be a sponsor, and anybody who registers, which again should be available to happen this week, put in podcast 2024 for a 20% discount off of any one league. So that's awesome there. Actually, that league is not the Elite League. We won't get into the topics of the leagues we have right now, but we do have 5 different leagues opportunities for you to get into. So opportunities from the private leagues, sponsored leagues, the more basic $25 entries, to the mid-row at the Exchange at $50, the Platinum at $100, And if you qualify for the elite, it is $250. So, and I know, Joe, you'll be in several of those leagues, as will I. So
I'm excited for the Elite League. I'll tell you that. I think it's going to be a hands down drag out season in that league. You got some tough top players in that league that play.
yeah,
So that will be exciting. Yeah, definitely looking forward.
That's a one winner take all the prize money too in that elite league. So
yeah,
it's gonna be
should be exciting.
Yeah. All right. Well, anyways, as always, we want to thank our sponsors, 123go.io and tabooentertainment.com. Next week, this is pretty exciting. Coming up soon, we'll be in the Fantasy Football Expo on August 9th, 10th, and 11th. And we will be at booth 27. Well, next week, our guest will be Bob Long, who is the chairman of the Fantasy Football Expo. Looking forward to chatting with Bob a little bit going in the future. And Joe Bliss has committed to be there with me. So you'll see Joe and I, as well as my daughter, Kathleen, and her boyfriend, Brad, at the Expo in August. Looking forward to seeing anybody there. And as we always say, Joe, when life gives you a chance, make it happen. Thank you, bro, for being here. Love you.
Anytime. Love you too.
All right, man. Ciao.
See ya.